Hey guys, my name's Stu and welcome to another one of my videos, and today we're going to be range testing the Volkswagen ID.3. So let's kick things off by going through the route we're taking today. So today's route takes us from Gloucestershire and we head down the southwest corridor past Bristol and Avonmouth and then down into Somerset towards Taunton, which will be our turnaround point for today's test. So currently the car is charged to 100%. We've got 159 miles predicted range on the vehicle remaining. Now I've got to say, this car is really nice to drive. It's pretty comfortable on the road. It is soaking up the bumps. Now I've only just started out the blocks and the current consumption is 2.1 miles per kilowatt hour. But so far so good. The car's really comfortable. Love these captain's armchair style armrests. They are really comfy. Now one thing I have noticed since being here is the sound insulation. It's definitely a little bit noisy. This is a typical urban city B road with dodging potholes, drain covers and lots of traffic. But so far so good. Car's feeling nice. Really loving the panoramic sunroof in here. It definitely opens the cabin up and makes it feel bigger than it is. Now I'm not going to lie, the materials are certainly on the cheaper side in terms of the upholstery. If I could compare it to anything, I'd say it was like an aftermarket car seat cover. I know there's a lot of recycled products in there, which is obviously a really good thing. That's a positive thing. But when you're paying north of £30,000 for a car, you would kind of hope you would have a slightly better material of upholstery. But the good thing about the Volkswagen ID.3 and the family of ID products is you can upgrade a lot of the items, or even go for a higher spec model. There's loads of glass in here, so visibility is brilliant. So we're going to get on to the motorway as soon as we can. We're on B roads at the moment, so nice bit of mixed driving at the moment, but we're very close to the motorway. We should be there in just a couple of minutes, so then we can get up to those motorway speeds. Get to 70 and lock that in. So 70 miles per hour is locked in, and we do have lane keep assist on, and also we have adaptive cruise control selected. So I'm going to manually jump in here just to keep the 70 mile an hour. Oh, no, we don't need to go around this car anymore. Well done for moving over. So consumption remains the same at 2.1 miles per kilowatt hour. We are sitting at 70 on the motorway and we're heading southbound at the moment. The vehicle's gone, says 153 miles. Now the efficiency on the vehicle at the moment, it's we're getting some really good numbers, anything from the mid 3s to early 4s. Now that is sporadic, it's up and down like a yo-yo, so I'd be interested to see what the overall average efficiency is like once we've depleted the battery. That's the only issue when you're trying to measure your vehicle's efficiency on. It's always going to give you a figure based on your current driving, so it's hard to predict what your longer journey is going to look like unless you do a test of a longer journey to almost see like a worst case scenario. So let's jump back into the middle lane. Scenery is looking amazing outside. Everywhere coated in white frost, feeling very festive. But the car's sitting lovely. We've got 148 miles left on the GOM. We've got a little bit of headwind, but it's not too bad. The sun's out, so I do expect it to get a little bit warmer. But we have dropped to 1.5 degrees Celsius now. Hey ID, tell me a joke.
Oh, my developers didn't teach me that, but I'll give it a go anyway. I couldn't work out how to fasten my seatbelt. Then it clicked.
A German car with humour. Love it. So if you hadn't spotted that, there's a really nice feature on here, which is the light bar, which runs along the bottom of the windscreen, and that responds when you talk to the car, which I think is quite a nice, neat touch. It gives it a bit of character. Now, here's a question: what do I think of the haptic feedback buttons? It's different. It's not a proper solid responsive physical button as such, but I think it works well. I think if you're used to using a smartphone and having haptic feedback on there, I don't think this is much different. Everything seems to respond okay. Now I like to hold the steering wheel at about a 4 to 5 o'clock position, so my hand isn't near any of those haptic buttons, but I have heard feedback that it's very easy to catch them as you're holding the wheel at your 3 and 9. Now, in terms of the road noise, there is a little bit. I'm sure you can pick that up on the mic. You can hear vehicles passing. Normally with an EV, you are more sensitive to sounds because of how quiet the cabin is, without any engine buzzing and vibrating away. But I don't think it's bad. It's soaking up the bumps nice. Love the visibility on the car. Loads of glass. There's not really anywhere you can't see. I love the fact that the front of the car is not far beyond the end of the windscreen, so it's good for the mobility and turning the vehicle around and parking. Visibility out the rear of the car's pretty good as well. This is essentially the same size as a Volkswagen Golf or a Vauxhall Astra or A-Class Mercedes, 1 Series BMW. Now the ride height is higher, you are higher up, you feel higher up, and that's going to tick a lot of boxes for people because SUVs are kind of the thing now. Everyone likes that higher ride height, but you can also drop the seat down if that's not for you. Now what's the touch screen like? Now I made a reference earlier to the haptic feedback buttons on the steering wheel. I haven't used anything in the centre yet in terms of like the heating, volume, etc. But the screen's quite, I'm finding it pretty snappy without any real delay. Now currently we're still heading south. It's 0.5 degrees Celsius outside, and we're on obviously some older bit of motorway surface here, So there's a lot of rough patches, small potholes, and you can really hear that surface through the vehicle. And that can be a result of having a lot of glass, that you don't get a lot of acoustic sound insulation as a result, and you do get a lot of feedback from outside. Let's talk about the infotainment. So I haven't really gone into a deep dive on it just yet. Everything I've used is relatively on the surface. But you do seem to have to go through a couple of options to get where you want to go. It probably would be quite nice to have more options on the front here of the interface. So as we get to the top of another gradient on this 70-mile-an-hour test, that's the good thing about this 70-mile-per-hour test I do. There's a lot of inclines, declines, exposure points at the top of hills. It's a real mix of what I think most people will interpret in their journey. Not necessarily everyone, but I think it covers a lot of bases. It's very easy just to try and put a vehicle into a bit of a sedate kind of environment to test in. So now we are coming up to a very busy point of this journey, which is Bristol. So I'm hoping it's going to be kind to us and let us carry on cruising at 70. We might encounter a little bit of traffic, but this is a real world test, so as much as we want to be at 70 the whole time from start to finish, I think we need to be a bit more realistic. But so far so good. No speed restrictions in place. There can be some along this route to control the volume of traffic. It's not unheard of to be at 50 or 60 along this part of the route. The sun's starting to take the layer of frost off the ground, which is a shame because it does look pretty beautiful. So we're about to hit the 40-mile mark. Currently our average consumption is 3 miles per kilowatt hour, which I think is pretty good. We've been in the car for 42 minutes in total. And we are sitting at a nice level flat bit of motorway, but we are going to be going up and down again as we cross this Avonmouth Bridge. So up we go. Hit the 50-mile mark on the journey. We are averaging at 3 miles per kilowatt hour. We've been travelling for 51 minutes. I'd say 95% of that has been at 70 miles per hour. Roads are a little bit damp on the surface, but generally pretty good. Temperature's 1.5 degrees Celsius. The landscape here in the southwest is looking absolutely stunning. Still a bit of frost on the ground. And the rolling hills in the background, the tops are covered in cloud, which just look absolutely stunning. We also have some more buttons over here, again haptic buttons, but these control things like your fog lights, windscreen and rear windscreen clearing, front fog lights. So I'd actually say, despite some options being deep in the menu, all the important ones are at arm's reach. So I think Volkswagen have done a good job there. Hey ID, tell me the battery percentage.
You can see information about your journey on the screen.
How big is the battery on this car?
You can see information about your journey on the screen.
Just past the 60-mile mark. Been in the car for just over an hour, averaging 3 miles per kilowatt hour. Temperature is back down to 0.5 degrees Celsius, still maintaining that 70 miles per hour. have to say, this car is really comfy and it's eating these miles. Doing really, really well. The efficiency is very good. 3 miles per kilowatt hour at the moment, on average for the journey. Bearing in mind we've had some hills to climb and drop from. Pretty much all of this has been 70 mile an hour. Really impressed with the efficiency. Very good. The car is saying we've got 97 miles of range remaining. We've done 70. So at the 75 mile point of the journey, still averaging 3 miles per kilowatt hour, 70 miles an hour on the car speed, 3 degrees centigrade temperature wise. Right, so our turnaround point coming up here at Taunton. Car suggesting 86 miles remaining on the GOM. We've travelled 80. So I've put regen onto full on B, just to make the most of it while we're off the motorway. No advantages of having it when we're at 70 miles per hour. But it's interesting just to see what it's like, just to test it. It's a little bit aggressive, which I think is just about where we want it. Take my foot off the accelerator, see what the regen's like. So it's not quite bringing you to a stop, but I think it's aggressive enough. Right, so we're getting back onto the motorway and we're going to get back up to 70 miles per hour. Lock it in and then carry on with the second half of this test. Locked in at 70 miles per hour. We are travelling uphill at the moment. So we've been in the car now for nearly an hour and a half. Let's talk about the comfort. I have to say the seats in this car are really, really comfortable. The upholstery probably isn't the best in terms of mix and appearance and texture. It's been incredibly comfortable to sit in. Now there are a lot of scratchy materials in here. A lot of black piano gloss as well. And if you're used to driving a Volkswagen in the past, I've driven a Volkswagen Touran and a Golf, and certainly the finishes and materials in those were better than this car. But I don't think they're awful, they're not bad. The surfaces in front of you, the touch surfaces, all seem to be relatively good. But the car's incredibly comfortable. I love the armrest, that's a nice touch, that is. I'll tell you what I do like. So currently I'm obviously have adaptive cruise set in for the journey. What I have noticed, and I think is a really nice touch, as soon as you if your speed decreases because you're behind a vehicle and you indicate to come out, the cruise control increases the speed, so you're able to step out and begin that acceleration process to get around that car and get back up to your optimum speed set in the cruise control, which I think is a really nice touch. Hey ID, what's the current temperature?
To use the air conditioning, say for example, I'm too hot or my feet are cold.
99 miles at the moment. miles. So what are the stats at 100 miles? So we've got 2.5 degrees centigrade of temperature, 3 miles to the kilowatt hour efficiency, and we're showing 68 miles remaining on the GOM. I think ID.3 is doing really well at maintaining that 3 miles per kilowatt efficiency. It's a proper steep hill here. I do remember coming down it and thinking that's going to be a steep one going back. But this whole route is full of this kind of elevation and terrain. It's great to have that mix. No one drives an absolute flat road for an hour and 30 minutes. So we've been in the car now for an hour and 3/4. We've done 109 miles, still at 3 miles per kilowatt hour. It's very comfortable in here. These seats are comfortable. I could quite honestly say I'd be happy to spend hours in this vehicle. It's so comfortable. Driving position's really good, visibility is amazing. I don't think it could be much better than it is, and it's sitting comfortably on this road. I could see it wanting to do this all day long. I think if you've got a long trip in mind, I think you could very, very easily do that in this car. It will do the mileage and you'll be comfortable at the same time. And we've got 2 cup holders in here, which is plenty of space. We've also got a larger cubby hole, which is ideal if you've got any snacks or phones, small electronic devices, purses, wallets. So that sun is really warming things up. That should help the efficiency a little bit. Getting the take a brake alert come up. Now, is that because I've done exactly 117 miles? Who knows? So we've now got 50 miles left on the GOM on the vehicle remaining. We've currently done 118 miles. We've been in the car for an hour and 52 minutes. Still averaging 3 miles per kilowatt hour, which is brilliant. Temperature's back to 4 degrees C again. Let's see what that happens to that temperature as we head further north. But this time of day, it's probably going to remain around that. We've been in the car just shy of 2 hours. 3 miles per kilowatt hour, still the average efficiency consumption. 49 miles left on the car. If the vehicle is true to that, we're looking at about 170 miles for today's round trip. We do have some more obstacles to tackle. We've got another tall hill coming towards us. So we've got our first low battery warning come up with 41 miles remaining. So you can see we've got 60 across the gantry. Now there's only one more gantry after this one with the same speed limit on it. It's back to motorway speeds. So only about 1.5 miles at 60. Now we've just hit 2 hours of journey time. And in that 2 hour window, we've done 127 miles, averaging 3 miles per kilowatt hour. Temperature is up to 4.5 degrees Celsius now, so the place is warming up. I absolutely love these armrests. It's the first time I've ever had them. or certainly in a car in the last few years, and it does make a difference having something to put your elbow on which is at the right height. So we're at 130 miles covered now. Still 3 miles per kilowatt hour for the journey. 38 miles left over on the vehicle's GOM. Sitting at 70 nicely. Going for a bit of an incline at the moment, but that's not an issue because we did come down it earlier. I have to say this car's doing a great job. It's been comfortable. It's planted to the road nicely. It's got a nice balance about it. We haven't been through many windy turns or B roads with sharp corners or anything like that, but for what we've done on the motorway, it's been really, really good. What beautiful weather to do a test today. Very brisk and cold, but sun's out, blue skies. So we've got 30 miles left on the predicted range. We've travelled nearly 140 miles, just about to tick over 140. 2 hours 11 minutes. Average consumption 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour. 3.5 degrees Celsius. Average speed for the journey 64 miles per hour. There we go, we've got 14% battery remaining according to the vehicle. So 25 miles left on the GOM. Currently travelled 144 miles. Average consumption of 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour. Obviously travelling at 70 miles per hour most of this journey. So we're now down to 10% of the battery remaining. We do get the indicator on the binnacle now about percentage. Got 150 miles now on the clock. 2 hours 21 minutes. 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour. Now I am going to continue this journey, but I am just going to have to go into the services because my bladder has lost. Now these services do have some charging infrastructure, but they are, I believe they're only 50 kilowatt chargers. But the ID.3 is doing great. 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour average, which I think is really good for these temperatures. Most of this journey has been hovering above freezing, which is 0 degrees Celsius. This is our turn off coming up here, so I'm going to have to stay behind this lorry, I'm afraid. There will do nicely. That will do nicely. Right, let's jump in the services and we'll be right back. Right, okay, so we've got 8% remaining on the battery, or 18 miles. So we're going to try and finish this this 70-mile-an-hour test stop. Past the petrol pumps. Then we're going to get back up to 70 miles per hour again and finish this range test. So we've got 15 miles remaining on the GOM. We've done 153 miles, 2 hours and 26 minutes, 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour, 4.5 degrees centigrade. And there we have it, that's the end of the test. So we've managed to do 157 miles in total, with an average consumption of 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour. Total travel time was about 2 hours 30 minutes if you take away the toilet stop. Temperature 4 degrees centigrade. So my final conclusion, well, today was an absolute pleasure driving this car, and it really munched those motorway miles. And with the exception of a few material choices, the actual cabin was a nice place to be and very, very comfortable. Now, efficiency wise, we got to just over 160 miles, and it's around its ballpark figure according to the WLTP figures. And in the summer months, you're looking at around 230 miles for mixed driving and 200 for motorway. Now, with a nickel manganese battery pack, you're looking at about 150 kilowatt of peak charging speed and an AC charging power of up to 11 kilowatts, making this a great option for a family EV. But the only sticking point I see is the price tag. And with prices of nearly £37,000 you would have to consider what competition there is available, and we're quite lucky to have plenty of options, noticeably the MG4. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for supporting the channel, and if you do enjoy the content, please do like and subscribe. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.